Hi, my name is TJ. My dad died of overdose on January 1st, 2011, and my mom is a recovering addict. God helped my mom, and now together we are here to help you. Now let's talk recovery. Here's your host, my mom, Susan Sexton-Wood.
Hi, and welcome to Let's Talk Recovery. I'm your host, Susan Sexton-Wood. Today, we have a couple guests. We're going to first hear from the Mercer band, Pete and Chritsten Mercer, with a song that's called Fix My Eyes.
You laid down your life so that I would be made free. The same spirit that raised you again now lives in me. You laid down your life so that I would be made free. The same spirit that raised you again now lives in me. I will fix my eyes on you. My foundation strong and true. 'Cause I'm gonna follow, I'm gonna run after, I'm gonna love all of your ways. Your eyes are on me, your heart is for me. You love me deeply, now and always. I'm gonna follow, I'm gonna run after, I'm gonna love all of your ways. Your eyes are on me, your heart is for me. You love me deeply, now and always. You lay down your life so that I would be made free. The same spirit that raised you again now lives in me. You lay down your life so that I would be made free. The same spirit that raised you again now lives in me. I will fix my eyes on you. My foundation strong and true. 'Cause I'm gonna follow, I'm gonna run after, I'm gonna love all of your ways. Your eyes are on me, your heart is for me. You love me deeply, now and always. I'm gonna follow, I'm gonna run after, I'm gonna love all of your ways. Your eyes are on me, your heart is for me. You love me deeply, now and always. Now and always. Oh yes, I'm gonna follow, I'm gonna run after, I'm gonna love all of your ways. Your eyes are on me, your heart is for me. You love me deeply, now and always.
Welcome back. That was Pete Mercer and Chritsten Mercer. They're called the Mercer Band. If you would like to have Pete and Chritsten come sing at your church or an event, just call the number that will be on the screen. Our guest now is from the Sheriff's Department. I have known Randy Retter for about 3 years. He's been a part of Unchained Praises and speaking at our events for that long. So we have built a relationship and we have the same heart to help people that struggle with addiction, not only the addict, but the parents and the children and the whole community that suffers. Hi, Randy.
Hi, Susan. Thank you for having me today.
You're welcome. Would you like to share what your duties have been being at the Sheriff's Department and how long you've been there?
Sure. I've been with the Wayne County Sheriff's Department for a little over 20 years and started there as a patrolman, and I've worked my way up, became a patrol supervisor at the rank of sergeant, and about 5 years ago, I was moved into by Sheriff Kappa to supervise their detectives division. And while in that position, I also supervised like members of our drug task force who deal with this specifically. And then recently, about a month ago, I was promoted to the rank of lieutenant, and now I'm the enforcement commander for the enforcement division of the Sheriff's Department.
Yes.
So,
Well, I know since knowing you, I can tell that you definitely have a heart to help others. So how did you come about wanting to help others when it comes to the drug epidemic? I know that you have to do your job.
Sure.
You have to arrest people.
Sure.
But at the same time, I believe that you also share some hope with them that they don't have to live that way.
That's right, and you know, I've really came to believe over my professional career that I would much rather prevent crimes or stop them from continuing than I would have to investigate them later. Because the more crimes that are committed, the more victims that are becoming involved, and if I can stop them from happening or stop them from getting worse, then that minimizes the number of people that become victims of this global epidemic.
Mm-hmm. How do you feel that the drug epidemic actually affects your life with the career that you've chosen? One thing that we try to do with Unchained Praises is to have everyone share a story, because the addiction affects all of us in a different way.
Sure. On a professional level, the increased workload is just tremendous. And I can share with you that prior to this influx of the heroin epidemic that's affected our community and the national scene as well, our cases since that time have doubled. Our drug investigations have doubled nearly just in a short period of time. Mm-hmm. So that without the increased number of officers, that has doubled our workload. We've seen a change in our cases going from certain types of crimes. Those have minimized where the crimes associated with addiction have increased tremendously. Obviously the crimes of the possession, the dealing crimes, but also property crimes where the people that are addicted are trying to find ways to fund this addiction.
Right. With Unchained Praises, since you've been with us for quite a while, can you share what Unchained Praises has not only done, but what maybe has the events taught you by coming to so many of them?
That's a really good question, and I appreciate you asking me that. I've learned a lot, not just from your motivational speaking, but from being able to be involved in these events and talking to the individuals who are recovering and the people that are affected directly by that, who've taken an interest in your program and attend them. By getting to know them more on a personal level in a different setting than what I'm used to, that gives me a completely different view, really kind of almost looking from their eyes and their perspective. So it helps me become better at my job. It helps me learn more about how to empathize with those people, and really it helps me find a better solution for their problems, because we realize in law enforcement that arresting everyone or arresting our way out of this problem is not always the solution. And our objective is to try to find the best solution to solve the problem. So.
Do you have a lot of loved ones, like parents of addicts and children of addicts, that come to you for advice after their loved one has been arrested?
They do, and we do get questions frequently. What can I do as a parent or loved one, or someone who knows someone who's in active addiction, and the best piece of advice that I can be or to give is to be there for them and to try to support their efforts for recovery. But also the biggest thing is to recognize the fact that if they become arrested, or if they get arrested, they become more involved in other crimes, not to consider that the end. And not to be concerned about that, but look at it as possibly an opening door of an opportunity for them to start their recovery and help them get that boost that they need.
Right. Well, I know part of my story is a sheriff deputy that arrested me, and he talked to me. He asked me why I was doing the things I was doing, and that there was hope for me. And that is one of the biggest motivators that started my recovery, because it got me thinking. Now, I didn't choose recovery right when he said it, but what the words he said stuck with me, and I just repeated them over and over in my head. And am I really worth something? Can I really change my life? And so really the words that an officer says while having someone cuffed is a really big thing. We don't get that from every officer. And you hear a lot of let's lock them up and throw away the key. So what kind of things could you tell someone when you're arresting them that may give them a little bit of hope to change their life and make the arrest worth something?
So again, I don't believe that arresting someone, putting them in jail, locking them away is the only part of that solution. There are many different levels, many different facets of this problem that need to be addressed, and part of that is filling that void of hopelessness, and is to show them that we understand that people make bad choices. We understand that sometimes the addiction causes them difficulty in making good choices or finding the right choices, and that we also understand that you're people. Anybody that's suffering from addiction is a person, and they grew up as a child. They have a mom and a dad and brothers and sisters maybe, and other family and people that care and love for them. They're not just another number. Not just a name, on a list. So, giving them, giving that little tidbit of caring and understanding that we realize that they're a person, but this is also something that has to be done, a job that must be done to perhaps help them and help the community as well. But keeping that personal touch.
Right. Well, I want to thank you for what you do, because it truly has been, with my own experience, that what an officer says, now today I know that an officer has to do his job, but just the talking of encouragement to think that law enforcement would even go beyond the job and do that is very dear to my heart, and it really has helped change my own life. So I want to thank you for doing what you're doing, and to encourage you to continue doing it
you can
and,
count on
and
that.
lead people to it. I know at our last event we had the coroner speak,
Yes.
and he said that there were already 37 deaths in Wayne County,
Yeah.
and that may have changed since our event on April the 29th.
Yeah, I don't have the exact numbers to quote, but I do know that unfortunately we are on track to double the amount of overdose deaths that occur for this year. And a part of that is because of these new and ever increasing in popularity of synthetic opioids that people are mixing into the drugs, and it's not just heroin. They're mixing them into almost all of the street drugs that we see. But mixing the fentanyl and carfentanil, which is a synthetic version of heroin or a synthetic opioid. And sometimes, these are being mixed in, and they're certainly not being mixed in a laboratory setting. So weights and measurements and things aren't accurate, which can lead to these accidental overdose. I know nationally it's been reported recently that overdoses like this are becoming the #1 cause of accidental death in the United States. And more than traffic accidents, more than accidental gunshot wounds, other things that we routinely respond to, this is becoming #1.
Right. At Unchained Praises, we do peer support groups. We do one-on-one peer-to-peer counseling, and we have a substance abuse counselor that is with us, and we actually just had another one start with us that just graduated in Winchester. If a parent or an addict may be watching us today, what could you say to them that may help them choose the path of recovery? Because it's a scary thing when we change, when we want to change. Just going into recovery is probably one of the scariest things because we don't know what's going to happen. So the fear of the unknown keeps a lot of people from recovery. If you could say something to the people that are watching, whether it be the parent or a loved one or the addict, what would you say to them?
Probably one of the most or the biggest thing that I could present to them is that there is another way. This isn't a life that's chosen for you. This is a life that they have chosen. And they need to take control of their life and to try to educate themselves on recovery and the different methods of recovery. But to make that successful, they have to have a complete change of lifestyle. Temptation oftentimes is too great, and the recidivism or going back to addiction is very easy when that temptation is there and ever present. So.
Yeah. Well, you have a lieutenant at the sheriff's department that is sitting next to a recovering addict. People can change. We have to take the steps to change our life, but people can change. And so I encourage you, if you're listening, to listen to what Lieutenant Retter has said, and just know that your life can change. And you just have to reach out for help. And I know personally that that's one of the hardest things to do, is to reach out and just ask someone to help you. There is an organization called Brianna's Hope in the Richmond, Indiana area. They do several counties, and what they do is if you need detox, they can help pay for that. So if you are in need of detox and you are ready, you want to get help, the number will be on the screen. You can call us. We can help get detox paid for. We can help get a short-term facility paid for. So we just encourage you to make that call. you can get a hold of Mr. Retter at the Sheriff's Department, and I'm sure if you have any questions that he could answer, he would be more than willing to answer them. We want to think that the police are out to get us and that we're doing nothing wrong while in active addiction. When you hear a sheriff or a police officer, if you hear someone from law enforcement that maybe just gives you a little bit of hope, that changes things. And so I encourage you to not think that law enforcement, that they're out to get you. You've just heard him say that jail isn't the only answer. A lot of people that get put in jail, there's a lot of addicts that have prayed for them to be stopped. And so it really helps, in the long run, it really helps to slow down. It's not too nice detoxing in a facility without help. But at the end, you hear a lot of recovering addicts say that jail saved their life.
Yeah, and oftentimes that's that door that opens for them, gives them that chance to step away from the life that they were in and to detox. And once they've gotten past that hurdle, then it's up to them to decide whether or not that they plan to continue that lifestyle change and to continue to try to make themselves better in that way.
When they're released from jail, do they get any kind of packet that helps lead them to meetings, and whether it's rehab that they may need, or?
There's a lot of information available to them and made available to them for centers like this. I know there's a number of organizations here locally that work together to try to provide these opportunities for them. And again, it comes down to their choice as to whether or not they want to follow up on that. So there's a lot of avenues out there for recovery. Even if they feel like they don't have the money to go through a medical treatment program, there are other opportunities out there for them. So.
Right. You have several times read a letter that someone that actually passed away because of substance abuse. If you want to share that letter.
Sure. I brought it with me today, and I'd like to. A few years ago, when I was the chief detective for our agency, I was called to an investigation of someone who had passed away. And during our investigation, I found a note that was left by the young man, and I've spoken with his parents, and they agreed that if this can help someone, that I could share this with anyone, in hopes that it might prevent this in the future. And I'll read this to you. It's an excerpt of the notes that we recovered. It says, "I love you all so much. I really hate that I have to do this. Been thinking so hard, and well, it's my time. I've done so wrong to so many. How can a person even be as big a piece of crap as me? I'm going to miss my baby. Oh my, I am. Better for me to disappear while she is young. Mom and Dad, please stay in her life and make sure she has an awesome replacement for a dad. I love you all so much that I really believe that I'm going to miss you all, you guys, way more than you're going to miss me. I don't want you guys to mourn over me. There's no reason to. Celebrate that I had a nice little life until the drugs took me over. Absolutely ruined everything that I had. Well, it literally killed me."
And that just shows the devastation of what addiction does. We don't realize that we're hurting other people, and it's devastating. I personally have been through losing someone due to addiction, and I really didn't understand why his life was taken and mine wasn't. Today, I can see why. Now, recently, there has been someone that grew up in the Wayne County area that passed away.
Yes.
Would you like to share about that?
Sure, and I can't share too many details because it's still an open investigation, but what I will share is a young lady who grew up in a rural area of Wayne County, grew up just like many children do, had a nice mother and a father, good people, average, ordinary, next-door neighbors that any one of us know. She grew up, and as time went on, and she became exposed to drugs and ultimately became addicted and started that downward spiral that we often see in people that are in active addiction. Became involved in some different crimes, started out minor, and it increasingly grew. As time went on, because of her lifestyle, she separated from her family and moved out. And things continued to progress until the point where she was just basically what I would call hitting rock bottom. She had someone that had taken her in, and they were providing her with a place to live and some food to eat, but she was doing things around the home for this person. And ultimately, by herself one night, died in an overdose in the bathroom of this man's home. And she was alone by herself and still literally had the needle in her when she passed. And one other person, and I guess what I'm trying to point out is it doesn't matter if it's a person like that or someone who's more affluent. A business owner from our community who is well known, they had a child that was in a similar position. He became addicted to pain medication, and which that increased and progressed into a heroin addiction. And he was able to recover from that, but then was involved in a accident, and he was put back on pain medication and went through the addiction process again. So it really doesn't matter if it's your next door neighbor or someone who would never appear to be in a position like that. Addiction shows no mercy on anyone.
Right, right. People will sometimes stereotype what an addict may look like, and just as Lieutenant Retter said, is you can't tell if it's the person next door. You can't tell if it's a child or even a grandmother. There's no discrimination with age. There's no discrimination with the life that you had growing up. You just never know. If you are someone that is struggling and in active addiction, we encourage you to call us, and we can put you in contact with whether it be Brianna's Hope for direction and to help with payment. That's what they do at their organization. There's meetings that we can lead you to and help you build a recovery plan. We just encourage you to just fight for your life. We want to thank Lieutenant Retter for being here on the show, and we want to thank you for being a part of Let's Talk Recovery. And so we just encourage you to live, laugh, and love in recovery. Choose a new way of life, and don't give up the fight.